pentameter.
Does it?
And I know the difference between a limerick and a poem, and whatever.
Does that pay the bills, though? I'm just kidding.
No, no, not much does these days. This is why we's begging online for money. It's fine. It's fine. We'll get to that too. Let's see how much we can raise for the Trump blockversary. Versary, not versity.
Versity?
We have adversity on the blockversary. How about that?
Oh,
I will wordsmith. Oh, there's one.
Where people can hear you. Just be careful.
People can hear me. Hi, people. I never say anything bad when I know people can hear me.
I'm just saying. I'm giving you a heads up. If something's gonna come out of your mouth, just be.
If something's gonna come out of my mouth, it's gonna be gold.
All right. Shall we?
Pure gold. I say we shall. Hey everybody, we're here now. Hey, what's up? It's Tara and Tara. We have a special guest today. Usually we don't have one on Tuesdays, but today we do because there's so much happening. Hey everybody, it's the Tara Show. Hey, what's up? What is up? Hello. It is, what the hell date is this? It's August 26th.
August.
It's Women's Equality Day. Do you feel equal? Are you feeling your equality
today?
Not
particularly. No. In fact,
not
I feel
particularly.
less than equal. I feel like shit.
Do you?
I'm just. I mean, no. I just feel like I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of this sick system that we're in. I'm just so tired of it.
Yes.
All. But
well, speaking of women's equality, Ghislaine Maxwell should be treated just as equally as any other rapist, pedophile in prison.
I hate her.
Since we last saw each other, which was Thursday when we had Ron Wyden, my senator, with us, which was fantastic. And by the way, thank you, because I don't know if y'all know this in the chat. Hi, Jim, by the way, thank you so much. Those of you in the chat, I don't know if you know this, but Devlin made a 22-minute supercut of our interview with Ron Wyden, and also a little clip of the bombshell that he dropped at the beginning of our interview that I've been circulating online, which was there are other Epstein henchmen, is what he called them. Henchmen / associates, if you'd rather, who are still walking around free, who could be subpoenaed to testify. Instead of Ghislaine Maxwell's edited interview with softball tossing Todd Blanche, who did not ask her real questions, nor did he ask her real follow-up questions.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So that was just, and Hal, I was on Hal's show yesterday and we were talking about this, of course. Basically, I'm going to go ahead and say, like, what we saw on Friday, when what's-his-face still called it a hoax again, Donnie Jazz Hands claimed, once again, it was a Democrat hoax. Your favorite is when they say Democrat instead of Democratic. So he said that again. And I'm like, how can be?
What's the hoax?
Because they just, the hoax is that the Democrats did it, right? Democrats did it.
And we didn't release it because it was such a hoax that we made up, and we went through all the trouble of making up a hoax that we kept it secret amongst ourselves.
Which is not true. That's not true. But the truth is that the Epstein files were sealed until January 2024, and they didn't have much opportunity to peruse them, as Ron Wyden told us when he was on our show. And what we also learned that I didn't know, and I don't know if you knew it when he said it, and he said it so casually, that the Treasury Department has its own Epstein files, separate from whatever the Republicans in the House have, which is crazy to think about, because if they have their own Epstein files, then they won't let Republicans and Democrats take them. They won't give them over. You can come and look at them. You can come and sit here was basically the take, right? And then what we got on Friday was, and this is what I said to Hal, and I also said it when I wrote about it on Substack. What we got on Friday was basically stuff that had already been in the public domain already, and the abbreviated edited interview, which is like, it's like, when you go get a gyro and there's meat on the thing and they scrape the meat and then they put it in the sandwich, which I know you don't want to hear about that because you're vegetarian, but I'm just saying that's all the meat they could scrape to give to MAGA on Friday, because the rest of it is very bad. They don't want to share the rest of it.
that's the hoax. The hoax is what
Right.
they're trying to pull over everyone's eyes. And it's clearly, if these maggots who are, they're so attuned to the conspiracies under every rock, well, here we have one that is unfolding right in front of us. The fact that Todd Blanche, that filthy Todd Blanche, went to interviewed that filthy Ghislaine Maxwell.
Monster.
I hate her legally and peacefully.
So much.
I'm not even sure if it's legal and peaceful. I just can't. The more that I read about her and know about her, I am filth. I mean, she's just filth. She's disgusting. She's a rapist. She sexually abused 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds.
Yes, she did.
She participated in the rape of children. She's a very sick woman. And she lied.
Yes, she is.
And we'll get Ellie. Ellie Leonard is coming on.
We're going to get into this.
Yeah. So I don't want to jump the gun here.
Just a few moments.
Because she has, she's got the receipts, but she.
Absolutely. So we're gonna really delve into that in parts. Ellie is great and she's incredibly smart. And Jim and our Jim saying, I hear Chicago is the next city to be occupied. Yeah. Not if J.B. Pritzker has anything to say about it. We don't need him. Is basically J.B. Pritzker had an amazing press conference yesterday on the streets of Chicago in front of the Trump Tower, Chicago, which a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, I stood in front of wearing my Wonder Woman punching Trump shirt when I was there for the DNC with my fingers raised as such. So, but Pritzker is like, hey, listen, we don't need you here. We're not having a crisis. We're not being overrun with crime. We're not being invaded. We don't need you. We don't need the National Guard. And if a governor doesn't request the National Guard, there's no reason to send them. The J.B. Pritzker energy is the energy from all 50 states. I don't care, red, blue, purple, whatever. This has ceased to become about what's on your voter registration card and about, are you an American or are you a Trumper? No. It is Trump or America now. We're done. We're done parsing and we're done both siding. But one of the things that J.B. Pritzker also said was he called out the press and he called out the media for continuing to both sides it. And he's saying, he basically was all, tell the fucking truth. Tell the fucking truth is basically what he was saying and what we're all saying. And that's what we do. That's what we have always done here. We have always shared the truth with you while trying to remain optimistic in some way. That's the energy that we should have been seeing all along from Democrats. We should have seen it last November because it's statistically impossible that one person wins all 7 swing states on election night. That's fine. I'll just keep peeling the skin off of my face on that one. But we are in a moment where we can push back against this authoritarianism, and it starts with governors standing up and refusing to deploy National Guard troops.
But also refusing in general his illegal orders that he continues
they are
to
unlawful.
He fires people illegally. He fired another person from the what is that?
A black woman.
Yes, of course, the Federal Reserve governor. He has no authority to do, just like he has no fucking authority.
Cook? Is that her name?
Yes. Just like he has no authority to disband the Department of Education or the Department of Labor or fire.
He does not.
But and don't you find that telling, if nothing else, that the filthy fascist, illegitimate, and corrupt Supreme Court gave Traitor Trump all the power to fire people that, to have the purse strings, to take another power away from the Article 1 branch of government. But they told Joe Biden that it was unconstitutional to help pay off student loans. That was unconstitutional, but it's completely within the power of the presidency to disband complete agencies that he has no say in in establishing or funding.
And purchasing 10% of Intel. Guess what communism is, MAGA?
That's literally.
Stop calling us communists. Stop calling us socialists. Stop calling us all the things that you are. Stop it with the projection language. That goes along with what Pritzker is saying, which is truth now. Truth everywhere now. Truth everywhere now and forever. And it doesn't, it doesn't matter if you like the truth. It's still true. You don't have to believe the truth. You don't have to like it. You want to live like an ostrich. Again, doesn't make the truth any less true. And before Ellie joins us, I want to read this poem that I've shared repeatedly on my socials throughout the years. And I bought it on a trip to San Francisco during the first illegitimate Trump regime. It's by the beat poet Lawrence Ferlinghetti. And it's called Pity the Nation. I just want you to listen because it is what we are living in right now. And if you put this side by side with the preamble to the Constitution, it's startling. Okay, pity the nation. Pity the nation whose people are sheep and whose shepherds mislead them. Pity the nation whose leaders are liars, whose sages are silenced, and whose bigots haunt the airwaves. Pity the nation that raises not its voice except to praise conquerors and acclaim the bully as hero and aims to rule the world by force and by torture. Pity the nation that knows no other language but its own and no other culture but its own. Pity the nation whose breath is money and sleeps the sleep of the too well fed. Pity the nation, oh pity the people who allowed their rights to erode and their freedoms to be washed away. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. That's us right now. That's MAGA right now. MAGA who has chosen loyalty to a pedophile over our Constitution. That's not patriotism. That is not patriotism. That is not patriotism. And we'll talk about this maybe again towards the end of the show. And we'll talk about it again on Thursday when our friend Hal Sparks joins us for my 10-year blocked by Trump versary. That's going to be a hoot and a holler. But we are back in the streets again on Labor Day. And I keep this on my desk. This has been taped to my desk so many times that you can see the tape on it. This is why. This is why we're in the streets again on Monday. This is why we push back. This is why we fight, because I'm not living in this nation. I'm not living in a nation to be pitied. I'm living in a nation that is to be honored and followed, a nation that's supposed to lead the world, a nation that's supposed to set the standards for the best that life can offer. We're supposed to be the Taylor and Travis of the world, and instead we're the skis. We're the skis bottom, like the what he has done, how he has brought us down globally, what he has done to our reputation in such a short amount of time, this blight on humanity that I am done living with. I'm just fucking done. It's Women's Equality Day, so our voices should prevail today. The women's voices, Ellie is going to be joining it. Well, no, that's what we're doing. I'm just going to let's just elevate women's voices all day. Just elevate women's voices all day and demand truth in your media.
Well, this is why it was good to listen to J.B. Pritzker, and I've been screaming about this for years, and Jim can back me up on this, because I've been saying that the Democrats, just like the Republicans, have devalued the currency of truth in this country, and that's one of the hallmarks of authoritarianism. But the Democrats
breaks my heart.
They have to fight back by shaming the media, because there is no liberal media. This is the liberal media. You're looking at it. We are. And so when when Trump and the Republicans, they have been, going on about the liberal media. Of course, the Democrats don't seem to want to call out the fact that Fox News makes its viewers less informed than those who watch no news at all. And they were hit with the largest judgment against a media company for lying to its victims/viewers. And point that out, that no, there is no liberal media. I mean, the truth has a liberal bias. So that's why what I've been screaming about is that the Democrats have to do what the Republicans do, and that is work the refs. You got to shame the corporate media into reporting responsibly. Stop with the both sides.
That's what Pritzker did yesterday.
Exactly, with the both sides bullshit. And because there is no both sides to this. There never
there's not fine people on both sides here. There's only fine people on our side.
That's right.
The fine people are on the side of truth.
There's
Every
only
time.
one side
time.
that ever did a damn thing for the American people, and that is the Democratic Party. I mean, in all its flaws, and I know
Democrats deliver.
yeah, and I've been saying that for years, that Democrats, the problem is money in politics and the corporate media, and the consolidated
And Democrats
media.
don't brag enough. They don't
Right.
brag enough.
Well, you
they should have been
can't.
out there bragging about
That's
Biden
right.
every day.
You don't
for 4 years.
expect
They should have been out there bragging.
You can't expect the American
we're awesome.
people to know by osmosis, because they're not hearing it on Fox News. That's why, and we've talked about it
Press
before,
secretary.
with the people who work in Perjury Trader Green's district that have jobs in the solar panel factory, brought to them by the Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure Act. All those infrastructure projects that were funneled into the poorly run red states. Every single one of them should have had a giant billboard. This brought to you by the Democratic Party, because of your poorly
Absolutely.
run, because of your Republican representative. Let it crumble so they can give tax breaks
Correct.
to the rich. And that's what happened.
Correct.
So, yeah. That's
Thankfully,
why
people are showing up. They're showing up to Republicans who are still holding town halls. And what do you think's going to happen, MAGA Republicans, when you hold a town hall these days? What you're going to get is a whole lot of salt. That's what people are bringing. They're bringing their salt to these town halls, and they're telling people, this guy is a
Hey,
liar.
Ellie,
He's
hold
a
on.
criminal. So this is
got-
going to be great.
Yes.
This is
She's
going to
in
be
the
great.
green room, ladies
She's
and
one
gentlemen.
of us. She's
One
our
of
people.
us.
She's
one of us.
one of us. Well, once we've got you, we've got you
accept
forever.
her. We accept her. That's from that movie, the famous Todd something movie. We accept you. We accept
The Freaks?
You. Yes,
Freaks from Freaks? Yes.
We're not freaks.
One of us. We're
All
not
right,
freaks.
One
They're the
of
freaks.
us. One of
There
us.
she is. What a lovely looking lady. Look at this.
Hi,
Hey,
how are
hey,
ya?
hey. Welcome.
Welcome to
Welcome,
the Tara
welcome.
Show.
I feel like I have to be
Alright.
taller.
No, you're.
I know.
You're
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what I'm doing here. So
You're fine. Just
Like-
be yourself. Ellie Leonard
You're going to be like
is
whack-a-mole.
an author, an editor, independent journalist, and she has earned attention across all of her social media platforms. You're involved in major media documentaries, podcast projects, and do you have a classical background as well? Am I mistaken?
I have I have a classical history.
Yes,
Degree.
that's what I meant.
It was
Classical
kind of
history,
a last minute. How do I finish college degree?
oh, I
That's
love
what
it. That's one of my passions as well. Or not really. I don't know. It is a passion. It's
is.
what I do in my spare time. Is I read Roman history. I'll read the writings of Cicero, or So,
Caligula.
yes, I love it. I love it. So thank you, Ellie, for joining us on
Yeah.
the Tara Show today. And you're amazing. Your Substack
thank you.
is incredible. It is. What
It's
is it?
ferocious.
Yes, Red
I love it.
Pencil at Red Pencil Script. So check
Yeah.
it out. It will be in the link in the description. But you've been doing a lot of great
you.
work with the Epstein
you.
files, and
No, I had no idea I would be here. Like, I don't even think. I mean, it's not that I didn't care about the Epstein files a couple months ago. It's just that I wasn't as invested, and I think I was visiting family in Montana. I had been doing kind of these current events articles, and my mother is very red, very MAGA, very
I'm
like
sorry.
a soldier. Thank you. My dad is very, former biology teacher, atheist. So like
Oh,
it's
wow.
a wild house.
Wow.
Interesting.
And I just was like, I had started to see these stories kind of pop up, and I had remembered the stories, and so I was like, you know what? I just want to know how much Donald Trump on the record and what I can prove. How much did he hang out with Epstein? And I just made this timeline,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get real nerdy, and I'm gonna go one at a time and just see where were they, where was it documented, and I just made a timeline, and it blew up. Like I've never had anything substackily
Right.
go viral before, and that was like
Yeah.
my first. And then, and I thought, okay, maybe we need to dig a little more into this. So I did.
Clearly, there's a lot of interest in it. So, what did you find out? So, as Ghislaine Maxwell, I know you're also going through the Ghislaine Maxwell
Yes.
deposition, or whatever. It's not even a deposition. What is that? The interview.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Right. She's saying that that they really had no relationship. So, but what have you found?
Yeah, no, they don't even know each other. I mean,
right.
Jeffrey Epstein doesn't know her dad. She never met,
Nope.
It's so, and people are asking, like, people are talking about, like, interrogation techniques and, like, why aren't they going harder? And it's so unfair, obviously, but you have to remember, like, she's not on trial for something right now, so it's not technically an interrogation. It's a waste of time is what it is. And so by trade, I'm a transcriber. That's my small business. That's how I'm sort of connected to these bigger media projects. And I know that there's a lot of really bad transcribers out there. And so I thought, if we're being offered these transcripts, I want to go back through and I want to see what they're getting right and what they're not getting right. So and it's super slow, and I'm going back through and I'm typing up the things that they missed, because there are things that they missed for sure, or that they transcribed incorrectly. But I'm also, by doing this, I'm also kind of getting into the head of the people involved. So what is Maxwell's stance? What is Todd Blanche's position? Where is he soft? Where does he actually ask real questions? The big thing that I'm sort of gleaning from it are, what are the tells? Like, what is something that Maxwell says or does which immediately changes the course of the conversation? Like, it's like hey, get out of here, because we can't see their faces. We can't see them making eyes at each other that says, let's get out of there. And the biggest tell with her is when she says something like, someone told me this, or I heard this.
Oh, God.
Because what she's doing there now, even though she has immunity, she can't lie legally in these interviews. She doesn't have immunity against perjuring herself, even if it's not an investigation. So she's not supposed to technically be lying. Is anyone going to call her out on it? Probably not. But whenever she says, so-and-so told me this information versus I know this information, that is when she's lying, because she's not putting that information on herself. She's saying she was given it, and so if it's not true, then I didn't know. And so that's a huge challenge. And she does that throughout. Yeah, that's a big one.
She's disgusting.
This seems to be an exercise in how to use semantics to get away with shit.
Yes.
So, and that's something that we've talked about on this show before, in that MAGA who are not the smartest people in the world, yet they seem to understand semantics in a special way, because they'll focus on, they'll seize on one word and try to parse it, like when they don't believe that Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. Like that shit. Right. They'll go into a semantics argument as a distraction so that you're not getting your real answers. And I think that this is a textbook example of that, because it's not just that she doesn't answer, it's that we got an edited version of the interview as well. Sure. So we'll never know what was actually said.
No. And she's not going to say, I mean, there really is no reason for these interviews. It doesn't benefit anyone. It's kind of like the idea of, like, we're giving you something that doesn't matter just so that you're getting something because you keep asking us for something. It's like the idea of dropping 30,000 files in the Senate of the Epstein files the other day, which was like 29,000 of them we already had, right? So it's like
so
a distraction. It's a distraction, but it requires more effort on their end, but it doesn't matter. Like, nothing she's doing matters. It matters to her because clearly part of the commutation process, which is what she wants, is she got to be moved to a minimum security facility. Now, she didn't come from a maximum security facility. She came from a lower security facility to a minimum, which is, there's a difference. But that was a clear response to what she said. And I don't know if that's it. I don't think that that's it. I don't think that's the bottom line for her. My guess is there's a pardon coming for her. Yeah. I don't believe someone's going to off her. I don't believe she's going to disappear. I don't believe people like her disappear because they want too much attention. Like, they don't just, like, go off the map and save themselves. They want to be in the public eye. She needs that. It's that narcissistic quality of all the people she hung around with. Yeah. I think Trump will pull he talks about like being able to shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. He'll pull that with her. He'll hire her for something, and that's his version of doing that. Yeah.
I mean, just imagining this, it's making me sick to my stomach because she is the most. Yeah. She's really vile as a human being. She's a very sick woman, and she lied in those and you did the direct transcribing. You didn't just take the Department of Justice's or whatever, Todd Blanche's word for it. You went through the tape on your own, and
there's a reason they're giving us both of those things. And pardon me for interrupting.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Please.
They don't need to give us the audio. Like, there's no reason for them to give us the transcript and the audio. We would be fine with the transcript, other than there are errors in it. The reason they're giving us the audio is for her emotion and for us to feel empathetic.
And yes, for us that's so true.
Hear what she's saying versus just reading it on paper.
And Americans are
hear what a bad actor she is.
We're suckers for that English accent too. So she sounds
super English. Like,
right,
it's like
she's such a proper lady. Right?
Yeah,
how can a proper lady rape a child, right? So
and lots of emotional tactics, like, and they're very cliche. I was kind of surprised. I was like, really, that's what you're gonna put? Like, she talked about loving animals, like she wants to have a farm on Jeffrey Epstein's ranch, and then she talked about like how they kind of broke it off around 9/11 because they were all suffering, and then
how
she
dare you?
like she brought up these real cliche like heartstrings.
Right, 9/11. You even go to 9/11. You
right. Jeffrey Epstein's mother was ill, and she was caring for her, and she didn't have that relationship with her mother. And I was like, you had a free plane for like 30 years, and all the money in the world. And you're saying like you never got to hang out with your mother. You could have hung out with your mother.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of that, and that's
that mansion. I mean, her whole her childhood, her upbringing. She's, grew up in like a 78-room mansion or, right? Something like that. 78, right? Am I right? Yeah.
But her father was penniless, right? She says he was penniless. He was destitute. He grew up in poverty. He was never connected with money.
He just stole everybody's pensions. That's what he did.
And then she goes, except for his boat, which was a super yacht, not just a regular yacht, and his airplane. And it's like, except for his boat and his plane, he was penniless. And
yes,
it's like,
most humble, hardworking, normal people have a boat and a plane.
Right.
Simple, just humble, hardworking, keeping your head down.
Wow, what a bitch.
Work done.
Yeah. She also denied the existence of that. Well, not the existence. She denied that the photo between Prince Andrew and Virginia Roberts Giuffre was real, right? In this interview, she says that it was doctored. It's fake,
right?
And these are things that have been proven at trial. So she denies there is a client list, and she denies this, even though this was presented at trial. Right. And of course, the distancing and. She denies her role in introducing minors to Epstein, this is all shit that's been proven in court.
Right. So, she says she lives in she never stayed at his house. She lived in a 10-by-10 apartment down the street. Like, she didn't have a key. She talks about just that she was just his decorator. He just hired her to be his decorator, and she lived on $25,000 a year. And even Todd Blanche goes, how did you live on $25,000 a year in New York in the 90s?
No, you can't.
For that.
That's what she may have claimed on her taxes. But she did. That's not all she was getting.
That's so true. Right.
Yeah, so I wrote on the Farmer Sisters because what kind of really sparked my interest in this, it was Vicky Ward. I really think she did a great job.
And who's Vicky Ward for people who don't know?
Yeah, Vicky Ward is an investigative journalist. She's on Substack as Vicky Ward Investigates. She wrote an article for Vanity Fair in 2003, I think called The Talented Mr. Epstein, and it was one of these kind of glowing reviews of a billionaire bachelor. It was definitely from him asking her to write about him. He did that with a lot of people. Can you write about me? Write an article, write a book. And then he had billions of dollars, so it kind of benefits everyone. So she wrote this article about him that really he was very brazen about his improprieties with money, which I found very interesting. He didn't hide that at all. Where he didn't get in trouble, where other people went to jail. But I really just, when I was reading this article, I go,
it's always that photo.
Right. And reading this
the
article,
one with
and
him and Melania, it's just like, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but as
no,
we're scrolling
no.
and I'm listening to you, it's just like, how many times can the MAGA cult be lied to about all of this that's right in front of them, right? As you're going through this, we have photographic evidence of them partying together. We have photographic evidence of them socializing. We have all of this stuff. And MAGA's like, no, nothing. Trump didn't do anything bad. And it will continue. It's just that photo that always gets me because I'm like, it's right in front of you. Anyway, continue.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, she wrote this article, and I just felt like something wasn't being said. I felt like she was like screaming something from the page, and I was like, what is missing here? And so I followed up, and I looked, and then I discovered that the Farmer sisters had come to her to tell their story for the first time, and they had reported that they had both been sexually abused by Maxwell and Epstein. They were one of the first women to report. And so they came to her and they said, we want to finally tell our story. We're finally feeling like we can. So she wrote it up. It was going to be part of the article. And then Epstein showed up in her editor's office. And that
in the
portion
morning,
of the article,
first thing in the morning, he was there.
Yeah, and that killed that portion of the article. And he was threatening. I mean, he wasn't being outwardly threatening, but he was calling Vicky all the time, asking her. She's about to have twins. He's asking her like where she's giving birth, which hospital, like weird questions.
Oh no.
And then the women who came forward and were brave enough to tell their story, he knew they came forward, and so then they just like shut down for a long time. They said, nope, we don't want to talk about it anymore, because now they weren't safe anymore, right? And so that story, and then a lot of like the Michael Wolff stuff, all his interviews, like as a transcriber, those interviews with Epstein, my holy grail. I really want to see them. I have begged him in many, many emails. That really sparked my interest, because the Farmer sisters, the older one, Maria, would travel to Les Wexner's compound where Epstein had a house in Ohio, and she was supposed to be his like art person. She bought art for him. She helped him design, and both of them sexually abused her. And she was very clear about it. It was both of them at the same time, and they would do this weird like mirroring stuff while abusing people. Yeah, really gross stuff. So once I had read that, I was like, cool, I'm done. Like, you're cut. And so now listening to all these interviews, she is just Britishing it up. Like, it's like she took etiquette lessons in prison. And you have to remember that she has had 4 years in prison to prepare for these interviews. So like her delivery is smooth. It's clearly just ridiculous. Like when she's saying that Epstein had a medical condition that prevented him from having sex, and which was great. She goes, which was great, because I also have a medical condition that prevents me from having sex. And I'm like, wow, what a coincidence that neither of you were able to have sex.
Or abuse young girls.
What condition would that be?
Yeah, what condition?
Right. Oh, she doesn't know. She didn't
It's
like ask him.
Prince Andrew's sweating, his
he
sweating
can't
condition.
Right. Even though all the pictures show him sweating, but whatever, it's fine.
Wow.
So it's just a lot of that.
Well, that's why it's just so heartbreaking.
It's insane what. Yeah. Oh God.
Go
It's
ahead.
awful.
Sorry,
And
but
the survivors are. The survivors are having a press conference on September the 3rd. The day after Congress is back from recess, which I think will prove to be an incredibly powerful visual moment, because I mean, it's the details, right? And one of the things, I don't know if you know this, Ellie, but last Thursday we had my Senator Ron Wyden on the show. Yes. And he's the ranking Democratic member of the Senate Finance Committee. And we talked a lot about the Russian financing of this international sex trafficking ring. And so I'm just wondering if, when you were doing all of your digging, if you found any of that, because one of the other things that we just found out, and I don't know if my partner saw this, Peter Thiel apparently hung out with Jeffrey Epstein also.
Oh.
Peter Thiel, the puppet master behind J.D. Vance. So again,
I was literally looking this up.
Awesome.
Really?
I love that we're on the same page with this. Go.
Epstein was heavily invested in Peter Thiel's companies, and that's
Oh, wow.
documented. So, and because I was just looking up the thing that I found most interesting this week that I really, really want is the House Oversight Committee is subpoenaing the Epstein estate. So that is run
Okay.
by Darren Indyke and Richard Kahn, who are like the lawyers and accountants. So that's where the birthday book is. That's where, if there's a list, is. I mean, we all have a list on our phone. To say he didn't have a list, like
Yeah.
my kids have a list on
They
their
have a
phone,
list.
right? Right.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a list. And so he was invested in Peter Thiel. The things, I haven't done a deep dive on the actual Russian connections because that is so messy. Like
Right.
all this stuff we're seeing now with like him somehow in bed with Putin. Like it's so messy and complicated that it's a little overwhelming. But what you have to understand is when they were getting women, these young girls, into their modeling, agencies, about half of them came from these Eastern European countries, came from Russia, came from Czechoslovakia, came from Slovakia, Slovenia. A lot of these places, number one, were had very kind of hardcore communist regimes and histories that didn't allow these girls and women to have a future of independence. So their parents are seeing these opportunities going, wow, you can go, have the American dream and go do something great, and you're being offered something so young. You're only 13 years old, 14 years old. But part of that, too, is the difference in consent, right? Consent here versus consent there. It's here we have kind of now, I mean, not in the 90s, but now we have we really talk about the age of consent and that no means no, and the idea of like an 18-year-old marrying a 60-year-old, like there's questions. That may not have been as big a deal if you brought someone over from a country where they lived in poverty, right? Or they had different legal standards, right? So you bring them to America, they're going to know the legal standards from their own country. They're not going to know the legal standards here. And so you see a lot of these women, and then also the women they were bringing over were like this white standard of beauty, which you'll see if you look through all these pictures with Epstein and Trump. There's not a lot of diversity. I don't know if anybody sees that. Like the only diversity I've ever seen is there's one picture of James Brown, and like that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's so
and I'm like,
gross.
man, date it, because I'm walking down the street. I'm in New York. I was doing a little sleuthing. I found Jeffrey Epstein's house. I'm walking away. Someone goes, "No, turn around. That's Howard Letnick's house next door." So I was like, "What?"
Yep.
I googled, found. Yep, like literally connected. Side
All
by
roads
side,
lead to that guy. It's unreal. He literally had his fingers in everyone.
Right.
So.
But then someone told me, turn around, Bill Cosby lives across the street. And I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
This is a very weird neighborhood.
Pedo Row. They can add that to the list of New York historic registries. They can go from, Hamilton's burial site to Pedo Row in the East 60s.
Right.
That's awesome.
But then I'm like, why wouldn't somebody like, if it's the 90s, why wouldn't somebody like a Cosby be involved with someone like an Epstein, very wealthy?
Oh, he would.
He would, but then again, not involved with a lot of diversity and people of color.
Yeah.
So I don't know if their paths crossed. I don't know,
because they're just racist. Trump is a racist. That's
but all the money is green, right? All money is green. That's the only color that really matters to all of these people. Is the green with no accountability. And it's just, the more you uncover about who's tied into Epstein, Bill Barr's dad gave him his first job with no qualifications, teaching math to who? Teenage girls.
Yeah.
So, that's all weird. It's all weird and disgusting. It's disgusting and nefarious and evil.
And that's what you mentioned.
Go ahead.
No, with when Ellie mentioned how someone went to prison, but Jeffrey Epstein did not. But they could, because they were involved with a Ponzi scheme. That's how he made a lot of his money. He was literally running a Ponzi scheme, and his co-conspirator ended up going away to prison. I don't remember the guy's name at the top of my head now. But Jeffrey Epstein he slips the noose, this guy, all the time, and it's disgusting.
Literally,
Yeah,
because people think he's still alive, that
wrong.
they faked his death. And,
I didn't say
and
that
hustled him out of there.
Yes, but
Paging Dr. Freud. But Ellie, are you one of these? Hey, Ellie, are you one of these people that is really curious to know if Epstein is actually still alive? Because there's this, that's like our friend Hal Sparks believes that he was disappeared, still breathing from the jail and is somewhere with a new face on an island, sipping cocktails and scrolling, going, ha, got away with it. Ha.
Not too sure
no,
about that
I don't
one.
believe that. And the reason I don't believe that is, like, I grew up with a heavy level conspiracy theorist. And so I'm a very practically minded person. Like, I need details. A lot of these articles that I write are to counter conspiracies, because I have to say, in this process, I've learned that the left is just as conspiratorial as the right, but in different ways. I did a big article on Butler, Pennsylvania, and like, what questions do we still have? What things can be proven? What things are really, really weird, right? But I do a lot of, like, picking things apart to say, you know, I heard this conspiracy, so let's dig into it and see what it is. I don't think he's alive somewhere. I think he's very, very dead. I do too. I mean, I've seen pictures of his autopsy, but you know, there's pictures of him laying on a bed. I question, like, the stuff around how he died. I kind of just hypothetically, I think he's a person who is very sociopathic, like unemotional, didn't think 2 steps ahead, and I almost think he's the kind of person who would kill himself in prison because he was just bored and wanted to try it out, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't
could have
make
been
sense.
doing autoerotic like Michael Hudson.
Yeah.
He could have
because he needed because he needed 3 orgasms a day, right?
Oh God, yeah.
Ew.
And
as fine. I don't need to eat.
And he's a malignant narcissist, so that makes sense that he would, you know, unalive himself to have the last word, really, and deny that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know, but the thing is, with all that, and is like, it's not that the original case of some. I used the Trump bruise on his hand as a metaphor, right? It's not the problem in the first place that sparks all this concern. It's the covering up that makes us go, something's wrong here.
Right.
And so it's like,
You're
if you give us videos of the prison, if that's what you're going to do, like, don't edit them, right? That makes us suspicious, right? That's a concern for us. If you want to prove all these people are innocent, then you give us the files and you show that they're innocent. It's the covering that makes us go, you are hiding something. Why are you hiding something if everyone is innocent? And
clearly, and that's the
exactly
thing, you know, especially when I'm looking at the picture of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, it breaks my heart, you know, that she's no longer with us. But I think about that how many times that she, first of all, she talks about the Eastern European, you know, young women that she met on Jeffrey Epstein's island that were also abused by Ghislaine Maxwell, that they had a big giant orgy with her. Where Maxwell participated, and, you know, these are young, they're talking about 16, 15-year-olds. And, she's disgusting. And then they also asked Virginia Roberts at the time to have a baby for them. And she said, well, I want to go to, she said, Maxwell approached her and said, we'll give you $200,000 stipend a month. And but the baby will be mine and Jeffrey's. And she said, well, I want to go to what do you call it? Massage school. I want to get my massage, because that's what they kept saying. They were sending her to school, and because she really did have a hard life, and it was horrible that they completely took advantage of her and abused her. In fact, Maxwell told Virginia Roberts, "You belong to me." She completely groomed this girl, and it's coercive control. Then she escaped. She went on a vacation. She met who became her future husband on, I think she went to Thailand. I don't know. She went on a vacation. Like, she had a couple of days off and she went and she met this man, and they got married
him
within
right away.
days. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she escaped to Australia and then she said, I'm never going back. But
Right.
but one day when she thought she was free, she hadn't told them where she was. She picked up the phone, and it was
Maxwell called her and gave
Yep.
her death threats and
Yep.
said, you better not hang out on the West Side Highway because people get killed over there
Can you
all the
believe
time.
this bitch?
Right.
Crazy.
This fucking
Yeah.
bitch.
No, it's
Crazy.
she and
they-
it's if you listen, like, I'm not a psychologist, but I've listened to so many interviews for my job that are very psychologically based. And if you listen to her, it is this giant pyramid scheme of Maxwell kind of turning evil because she's obsessed with Jeffrey Epstein.
Right.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't want to get married. She wanted to get married and have babies. She thought they were going to be together forever. And he was kind of like, he barely dated her. He dated her. He had sex. They were friends with benefits, whatever. So she was really obsessed with this idea of having children, right? I know. People think
it's
that's
crazy
a fake
that
photo.
that guy turned into a pedo. Look at him.
Right. People think that's a fake photo because
Letch.
his name is spelled wrong on the chalkboard, but it's from the yearbook. It's a real photo.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's spelled wrong.
That's not an attractive. See, here's the thing, and I'm speaking as an American Jew. When our men are good looking, they are good looking, but when they are not, they are not. And so there's a lot you can do. You can get your nose done, you can get your hair cut. What you can't do is change the fact that you're a disgusting pedophile and you're sick and you're just sick. A broken human who's fully disgusting, who had to exert power over children. And
It's
just like Trump. Just like
It's
Trump.
just a weird.
It's
They're
disgusting.
parallels. They're absolutely clones of one another. Neither had any really true friends, and yet people hung out with them to be close to greatness and power. I kind of think with Epstein, a lot of it was like a paper tiger. I think he manifested that he was great in certain areas, and so people held him up as being like close to Hollywood or close to this money thing. I don't think he had, like, I think on paper he may not have been as rich as he seemed, but it's kind of like with the Dalton School. It's kind of like with Harvard. He walked in and he cosplayed that he belonged there, and people all of a sudden started hanging out with him because they thought that he did. But I mean, his houses were all like gifted to him. Maxwell says that Wexner, which the Wexner story is really interesting because people don't know if he actually maybe had some kind of a relationship with Wexner, or if Wexner just had a big crush on him. But like Wexner's friends said, all of a sudden he started changing how he dressed. Like he'd wear really tight pants and he started dyeing his hair and like, and he stopped hanging out with like his friends and family. And then he seemingly gave Epstein his house, which was one of the biggest houses in New York City.
Yeah.
And
that's
Ghislaine
pretty
Maxwell
gay.
says it was just and Ghislaine Maxwell goes, it was just payment for his work that he was doing. And it's
Doing
like, what kind of work was
Sure.
he doing
Right.
that he was paid $77 million and a title, right? Like, it's just
A townhouse in the
very,
East
very-
60s is, that's that. You want to give somebody a tip, you slip them a 20. You don't give them a townhouse on East 61st Street.
Amazing.
No.
Well, and then she's saying, like, his job was to get back stolen money. Like, people hired him to get back stolen money. And then she uses the example of El Chapo, and then she's like, this is hypothetical. It's hypothetical.
Oh,
And
fuck
it's like,
you.
is it hypothetical?
Oh.
And then
I
it's
don't
like,
think
well,
it's
then if you're talking about
hypothetical.
crime rings getting money back from other crime rings, like, that's what he was
Wow.
doing. It was like mafia stuff, and he worked in
Well,
construction
follow the
with
money.
this mafia stuff. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's read between the lines.
I'll be interested to see when they're back in session, back from recess, because when we were speaking with Ron Wyden, we asked him what he plans on doing, because what he discovered, 4,725 unique wire transfers between Epstein and Russian banks, and only one of them was $1.1 billion. So there's the question of funding an international sex trafficking ring, perhaps with a little light money laundering going as a special added bonus, right?
Wow.
Yes.
So when the Congress can't stay recessed forever, so they're gonna come back. And one of the things we asked him, like, what's your first order of business once you're back in session? And he's all about the financial stuff and really delving into and parsing these financials, because this is where they could get him, kind of like the way they got Capone. Get him on the financials rather. I mean, the other stuff that he's done is hideous and abhorrent. This is real shit you could get someone on.
Yeah. That's the number one reason they're not releasing the Epstein files. And I've said it a few different times is, I mean, the sex stuff is horrible, but it's a smaller group of people that are involved in that than it would be if they start talking about money. If they start bringing up the money stuff and how all these people became billionaires, because it's very, I mean,
wow,
there's no real non-corrupt way to become a billionaire and stay a billionaire and become more of a billionaire. If they start looking into that
unless
on
you're
a
Taylor
legitimate
Swift.
level.
I'm sorry. I always have to stand up for Taylor Swift.
She's engaged.
Continue.
She's engaged.
Is it official? When did they announce that? Wait a minute. Swifty over 50.
It's on It's on the cover of the Huffington Post.
Yeah.
Everybody relax.
Fine. I've been focused on Epstein. I'll get back to. Oh my! I can't believe my friend Christine hasn't blown up my phone. Anyway, continue. Of course, they're engaged. I called this 2 years ago. Go ahead.
Oh wait, yeah. So, but if they start delving into the money stuff and they actually find a paper trail of how he got his money, which I'm sure there isn't one, then you'll start to see that would be such a massive investigation. I don't even know if they have the manpower to do that kind of an investigation, but that's the kind of thing that would take down like the economy of a place like New York City.
Wow.
Like, because so many, and Washington D.C., like so much political and financial corruption. That's all the big banks. It's all the connections with Russia. It's like, that's, to me, in my pea brain, that is the number one reason why they're not releasing the files. It has nothing to do with the sex stuff. It has to do completely with the money.
Yeah, and the sex stuff is just and the abusing underage girls. It's just it's like a detail.
I'm sure it's still happening.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm reading one of the quote on your article here. Epstein was trying to explain a currency trade he wanted to do. I have an MBA from Ohio State. I didn't understand a word the man said. I told Les, stay away from him. Right? I mean, he didn't know what the fuck.
And then he fired that guy.
That's what's so sickening, because everything is a con. It's just a grift. It's everything is like the Gilded Age of gaslighting and grifters. And we're all just pawns in this little drama that they have, and they use people, like Ghislaine Maxwell said to her friend, well, don't worry about it, they are trash. And that's how they think about us. Yeah. And the fact that you're saying that I wonder about the pardon, if he will really go there, because I wonder. And if he does, I know he's setting it up, but it's so... He is guilty, but just like
the cult might get extra mad about that. I don't know how the cult is going to take that, because they've been lied to so many times about this already. Yeah. So Ellie, what do you think about like when they come back with the "but Bill Clinton"? That's their one of their counter arguments, aside from why didn't Biden release them when he was president, and the reason is they were sealed, and that's the reason. But when they come back with the "but Bill Clinton," have you, in any of this stuff that you've been doing and in any of your digging, have you found anything that points to Democrats doing anything close to what you have found with the shitty people that are connected to Epstein? Because we're fine with any, like, accountability is accountability, and if it turns out that he did. But my take was, if there was Bill Clinton stuff in there, we would have seen that months ago. So, that's true. Or even in 2020, we might have seen it. Right. So have you, in your work, because you're like in it, have you seen anything that points to anyone in the on the Democratic tip where we have to be like, oh shit, I did not know that so-and-so was doing that? Or, like, do we have to prepare ourselves as well? Because I'm ready for anything when it comes to finding out what Trump did. I haven't really been focused on any Democratic stuff, because I figured Pam Bondi would have released that if there was anything like that.
There would have been. I question whether. So here's the first thing. The MAGA base thinks that the whole Clinton idea being in the Epstein files is like this huge gotcha. Meanwhile, we're over here going, take him. Like, his reputation is trash, right? Like, take him. We don't care. Like, if someone's in there, go for it. We are not beholden to a party member who abuses children. Like, don't care.
Nope.
Ta-ta for now.
That's just over and over.
Right. So I don't know why that isn't clear, but apparently it's not clear. What I have run into, And again, I'm not all the way through the transcripts, but like she talks a lot about like Bill Clinton going on these trips, and that I know that they were very careful about talking. His friends were very careful with Epstein at the end, because they said he just got so brazen. They were like, dude, you're gonna go to prison if you keep talking about this stuff. And part of that was that Bill Clinton had just been at his house and like, you need to shut up. I remember reading that. The idea of this big apartment building on 66th Street that's owned by his brother, that his brother, you know, Mark doesn't know what goes on inside the building. Don't trust that guy as far as I could throw him. But there was a lot of people staying there, like the Clintons and Ehud Barak and all these people. The things that I've heard specifically out of Maxwell's mouth was that Clinton didn't hang out with Epstein. He hung out with her. He was friends with her. He wasn't really friends with Epstein. But then she also says nobody was really friends with Epstein. Like it was, you know, other than like Trump, but it wasn't, that was like a bro competitive financial friendship. It wasn't like they were, you know, watching movies on Friday night. So he was there. I think the only stuff that I've clearly gotten that is not like right-wing politicians and billionaires and people like that is you'll hear every once in a while talk about like actors who were flying around on the planes with them. You'll hear about like scientists that were flying around on planes with them. There's no like definitive, you know, it's kind of like that. Just because they were there doesn't mean they were committing crimes. Scientists.
That's right. What's his name? That guy. You know, the scientist guy in the wheelchair.
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking.
He was
yeah,
like
exactly.
In that
Like that's a weird one. One of the defenses I heard. One of the defenses that I heard, which doesn't make Bill Clinton look great, but it helped, is that Bill Clinton didn't like girls; he liked women. So
yeah, but
you know,
it also,
like if he did when he cheated on Hillary, at least it was a consensual relationship, and it was consensual, and it wasn't with someone who was 14.
Right. But that's what the maggots are saying.
I mean, if you want to find a sliver of hope, right?
Yeah.
So it's that.
But I mean, it's just one more thing. It's like, well, then if they're in there, dump it. But I also think even if Democrats were in there, if there was a huge financial burden for releasing the files, they wouldn't release it. Like they're weighing for them the positive and negatives of releasing the files, and even if it's filled with Democrats, if it takes down this huge financial ring, they probably wouldn't do it. So I don't know. Right. There still is not a lot of talk about that, but we are willing to sacrifice all of them. Yeah. I will speak on behalf of my people.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Well, MAGA doesn't really have anything right now. All they have are a bunch of lies, and they're trying to figure out what they're supposed to do right now, because on the one hand, this is a total cult of personality. It stopped being about politics a really long time ago for them. Yeah. So they're in the act of defending Trump, while they're not really aware that they're also in the act of defending a pedophile, because they don't see him like that. They don't want to believe it's fine. And it's like our friend Hal Sparks says, when he meets these people, he asks them, how long would have it taken you to clock Epstein as a pedo? And they're all like, oh, right away. And then follows that with, so if you want to believe that Trump didn't do any of this stuff, but they were friends for 25 years, what are you saying? That either Trump didn't know, he was that oblivious, couldn't figure it out, or he did know, he was fine with it and looked the other way. And then there's that third option with what,
or he's undercover,
what we know it to be, which is he knew, and he was an active participant. He was an active. Yeah. He was definitely not an undercover. Helping the law.
It's a long time to be undercover.
Yeah, but what it was is that he was an active and willing. Right. That's a real long con. So
like he was
an active and willing participant.
Yeah.
It was a competition for them. He was angry that Epstein got to rape Virginia before he got to. It was a competition. Which one could you get to first? Who was better? They would rape them and ask them who was better in bed. It's disgusting.
Everything's
And Mog is like,
competitive.
He's great.
Yes.
Oh, well, two things. Number one is if we just sit back and let Trump talk, he will convict himself. And like the first thing with that is like him saying, "Oh yeah, I totally do remember Virginia Giuffre. He had
Right.
150 employees.
stole her.
He had 150 employees. She was a locker room kid. Like he would never have known her by name or by face. Like there's no way she was in the women's locker room. Like why would he be in the women's locker room? So that's the first thing. The second thing is they're starting to lose. They're starting to lose some of this like evangelical base with this child sex abuse stuff. And the reason I know that first thing is like you're hearing him talk about heaven all of a sudden this week, and people are like, "Oh, is he dying? Is he dying? He's not dying, or he might be." He doesn't recognize if he's dying. He thinks he's going to live forever. He's saying that because he's trying to bring back the evangelical base. He's trying to appeal to them about like what it takes to get into heaven.
You're right.
And on a very specific level, my mom goes to a very evangelical church in Montana, and I really like her pastor. I really like her pastor's wife. I don't agree with them on most things, but they are decent people. And my dad goes with her every week, even though he's an atheist, but he just does it because he's just does it. But he said this last week, the pastor got up there and said, "We have to stop doing this. It's time to open our eyes and realize that Trump loves his money more than he loves God." And I was like, what?
What took you so long?
Trump doesn't love God at all.
No, he doesn't. It's marketing.
He'll write his name on the book, but he will not. He does not care what's in that book. So,
but that's a perfect example of where they are, because that's always been their like shtick, is that everybody has this cabal of like eating children after they have sex with them, and it's like they weren't able to prove it at Disney, and they weren't able to prove it at the Pizzagate, because those things didn't exist, but it was like happening in their own backyard, and they wouldn't look at it, and now they can't ignore it. I mean, you can't ignore it. And so they're losing some of that base, and I think that's why he's talking like that.
It's about time.
It's amazing. Yeah. We got to have you back on the show, because these 45 minutes flew by, and you're brilliant, and you're amazing. And you're right, you're chatty, but I like chatty. We like chatty here. Tell people where they can find you on the vast information superhighway.
Sure. Okay. So I am on Substack. That's probably my number one right now. You can look up Ellie Leonard. You can look up The Panicked Unpaid Writer. I think it's at Red Pencil Script.
And that's all of us, right?
I know, right? So at that Red Pencil Script, that's my small business. That is the handle for most social media that I'm on, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, whatever. So if you look me up, you'll find me. I'm pretty snarky and unapologetic. And
I love it.
That's why we love you.
Yeah.
That's it. That is it. Thank you, Ellie.
That's
and
awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody. Thank you, Jim, for being the bestest moderator. Everybody follow all of us on Substack. If you have the means, kick it up to a paid subscription. Buy my book, The Sound of Settling a Rock and Roll Love Story, at TaraDublinRocks.com. We will be back here on Thursday, same Tower time, same Tower channel, with our wonderful friend Hal Sparks. And we're going to be celebrating my 10-year Blocked by Trump anniversary. That's Thursday. I don't know. Bring a cupcake. I don't know, but we'll do something fun and just, get out. Remember, we're all in this together except for Trump, because he's a dick. All right. Thanks, everybody.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you next time.